Well, that race, that was certainly something. What a day. Whew. It was bright and sunny out here. Wish I could have given some of this sent some of this down Florida's way, huh? Alright guys, in all seriousness, how's it going? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. You've come to the right place. For those of you who don't know, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you don't follow me on Instagram, which you very well should be, I've been out of town for the last few days. I'm up here near, in the greater Chicagoland area, not by the Speedway actually, kind of pretty far from the Speedway, but I'm in the greater Chicago area. A little vacation. I'm gonna be in Wisconsin in a couple days for the Slinger Nationals. Gonna see Matt Kenseth, Daniel Hemrick, a few other NASCAR guys compete on one of the biggest late model races in the country. So I'm excited for that. That's why I'm out here. But that being said, I did take some time off from seeing the sights to watch today's Daytona Coke Zero Sugar 400 race. It was rain delayed, or it was postponed from yesterday, from last night to this afternoon. Rain was in the forecast again, but the race happened. The race indeed happened. It was cut short. We're gonna talk about it today. I'm just gonna kind of ramble. Usually I edit these episodes really tightly, but I'm just kind of walking around right now because I need a breath of fresh air. I've been sitting inside my hotel room for the last 4.5, 5 hours watching this thing, holding my breath, not sure if they're gonna restart it or not. We're gonna talk about all this. We're gonna talk about the winner, Justin Haley. We're gonna talk about the racing that we saw for the first, the 100 or so laps we raced, 120 laps or so that we raced, because it was pretty fun. I'll put this thing on my Groovy Gauge, and then I wanna talk just about some of the top finishers. You know how it usually is, but yeah, gonna be a little different out of the groove. I promise that after this episode, the next few days, I'll start to go back to my regular schedule, but I don't know, where do we start? I'm standing on just this like porch, and over here there's like this creepy bench that's like sticking out of the woods. Don't know why that's there. That's kind of creepy. I'll ignore that. Okay, so let's talk about the race itself. Stage one, the Fords worked together. Some interesting things happened. The Fords were doing a great job. The Penske cars, the Stewart-Haas cars, everyone, basically anyone with the Ford, a blue oval, they were working together. On the final lap of that first stage though, Logano made a great move, got a push from Stenhouse and got around Harvick. That was fun. So stage one, not a whole lot happened. Stage two, things started to pick up. We had a wreck where Kevin Harvick had a big run on Brad Keselowski, tried to just bump draft him a little bit, but I guess hit him in maybe just a slightly awkward spot. Maybe Keselowski's car just wasn't handling well. That set off a big wreck. Kind of ironic, because earlier in the week Keselowski made a big deal about how he's not lifting. In practice he wrecked William Byron. I didn't really think for any good reason, because he wasn't lifting. He wanted to send a message, and sure enough, if Harvick had lifted, Keselowski might not have ended up on the wrecker. But that wreck caused Keselowski to end his day. I think Suarez got some pretty bad damage. Harvick also got some damage from it. But stage two, then the Chevys were able to work together, and actually Austin Dillon won stage two. And then at that point, weather was in the area, and intensity just picked up. Stage three, there were 3 wide all over the place. Austin Dillon was doing a good job protecting his position, but then Clint Bowyer got to him, and Clint Bowyer made a daring dive to the inside going into turn one, got Austin Dillon a little loose. Dillon came down the track, and then he came down a little bit more, and they made contact, and that set off. Whew, like a 25 car crash, something like that. It was, I don't know, the biggest wreck I've seen at Daytona as far as number of cars involved was probably in this race 5 years ago. This one, I don't think quite matched that level as far as number of cars, but it was close. It was certainly close. It was a big wreck. Talking about that one a little bit, I put a little bit more of the blame on Clint Bowyer, because he kind of did what Jimmy Johnson did to Paul Menard in the clash. Remember Jimmy Johnson pulled up from behind Paul Menard, got Menard a little screwy, maybe made a little bit of contact, and then Menard put a block on. That caused the big wreck. I thought that was very similar to what happened here. I thought Clint Bowyer misjudged it slightly, made a little contact, and kind of got Austin Dillon screwy, and then Dillon probably finished it by moving down another couple inches going into turn one, and that finished the wreck. But I thought, I don't think you could put all the blame on either driver entirely. I thought Bowyer, since he kind of instigated, I'd put a little bit more of the blame on him. But it was just one of those Daytona racing deals. You can't always, it just happens, and weather was coming, so I understood the intensity. It was just dramatic, but that's basically the race, because shortly thereafter, the caution came out. A few drivers made it through. Kurt Busch was the race leader. He managed to sneak through the wreck, but then NASCAR basically made the announcement, hey, we're coming to 1 to go. We're gonna go and restart the race, even though weather was kind of looming about 15-20 minutes out, it looked like. So Kurt Busch on the 1 to go decided to pit, as well as some other cars. Justin Haley did not pit, he stayed out. And then literally half a lap, they were double the file, half a lap from going green, NASCAR suddenly waved it off. They waved off the caution because there was a lightning strike about 7 miles away from the track. And a rule that NASCAR has is that if there's lightning within 8 miles of the track, they have to go into a 30-minute lightning hold, which basically meant they had to red flag the race. And Kurt Busch at this point, he'd pit already, he'd committed, he was not the leader, and it basically screwed him up. It screwed him over entirely. It screwed him over. It was just bad luck. It wasn't, Kurt Busch takes things personally. It was not a personal attack. I don't think Kurt Busch was intentionally screwed by NASCAR. It was just terrible luck. So I felt bad for Kurt Busch because he at least was running in the top 5, top 10 most of the day and had a respectable car. And now here's what I want to talk about: Justin Haley. Let's talk about the winner from this race because that's going to be the storyline. That's going to be the headlines. That's going to be all we remember from this one. So let's talk about Justin Haley and the driver of that 77 car. Hey, sorry, I'm interrupting myself here. I came back in from outside to actually edit the episode. I finished recording, and then I realized I forgot to mention a couple things, and I saw people talking about it on Twitter, so I wanted to address them right here really quick. Firstly, a lot of people complaining about NASCAR's lightning delay policy, the fact that there's a 30-minute clock anytime there's a strike of lightning close to the track. A lot of people saying that's dumb, like what are the odds someone gets struck by lightning? I just want to tell those people they need to chill the heck out. You know, NASCAR in 2012 did have a fan at Pocono during a race that was being rain delayed and everything, was struck by lightning and killed. So this has happened in NASCAR recently. It's the type of thing, I know it's a 1 in a million chance anyone really gets hurt by lightning, but it's the type of thing where if NASCAR doesn't say anything, they don't take precaution, and lightning strikes the grandstands and injures a lot of people, that would look so bad for the sport. So I completely understand why NASCAR had to, has this policy, and it's unfortunate, it's bad luck, it's bad timing, but people who are upset with NASCAR for you know, with this rain, for having the lightning delay and everything like that, that being the reason we couldn't get the race in, that's just silly. I'm sorry guys, it's just the way it is. It's just policy, and it's important policy. The second thing I've seen people complaining about is why NASCAR didn't wait, and NBC and everything, why they didn't wait to try and run the race later at night, because Daytona does have lights, and the radar was showing that maybe it would clear up by 7, 8, 9 o'clock local time, which means they could have maybe finished the race at 10, 11 p.m. over there on the East Coast. For that as well, I think that's just such a judgment call you have to make. NASCAR lost the track once, rain is starting to lighten up, and then it started pouring again. That's when they decided to make the announcement. You know, if the race was scheduled to be run today on Sunday afternoon and they had to push it an extra, you know, push it until 10, 11 p.m., I'd understand it, but the race had already been postponed a full 24 hours. At that point, you'd still been racing, you know, 36, 37 hours after the scheduled distance, or the race was scheduled to happen. That's just too much. So I don't have a big problem. NASCAR has to work with a lot of people there. They have to work with NBC, NBCSN. They have to work around other sports schedules. You know, there's an IMSA race supposed to be on NBC today. That had to get bumped because of NASCAR being postponed. So NBC was already having to make a lot of accommodations, cannot talk, to get the race in here today on Sunday. I think the fact that they kept it going as long as they did, it should be applauded, in my opinion. At the way things were going, the earliest they were going to start racing again was probably 10 p.m. or Daytona time, and that's just, you had just been people around the track for such a long amount of time. So I don't have a big problem with NASCAR calling the race when they did. It's just a shame it came to this, but NASCAR can't control the weather. Nobody can, so it's just is what it is. But I want to throw that in there. Back to me out there. I wanted to, you know, saw people complaining about it on Twitter and just wanted to address it. So enjoy the rest of the episode. Let me make this clear. I am very happy for Justin Haley. You know, a year ago in the Xfinity race here, he basically kind of got screwed out of a win. It was a questionable penalty call by NASCAR on the final lap that cost Justin Haley an Xfinity win at Daytona. And then even just earlier this weekend, he finished a close second to his teammate in the Xfinity race. So he's been so close at Daytona. It's gotten the best of him multiple times now. So I'm happy for Justin Haley to see him win a Cup Series race. He's not a Cup Series driver. He's not. He's definitely not driving a Cup Series competitive car. But that being said, it's still a fun story, kind of redemption in a sense. So I'm happy that Justin Haley won this race. I'm happy for him, happy for his family, everyone associated with him. However, this race now has just a very hollow feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, when we talk about this race for years to come, this race, you know, the winner now has a huge asterisk next to it because, you know, Justin Haley, that 77 car, they were not competitive all day. They didn't really race all day. They hung around in the back all day because they couldn't race with the big guys because they weren't good enough. They didn't ever contend. The reason he made it through that big wreck is because he was so far behind it. The wreck had already happened. He just weaved his way through it. He wasn't even up there with the leaders. So that's the problem I have with this race. That's the problem I have with this win. It's just hollow. I understand nothing NASCAR can do about it. Rules are rules. It's just, you know, it's my honest reaction to it. And I think a lot of fans probably have a similar reaction to it. It is what it is. I guess this just happens a lot of times. You know, anytime a guy wins a race and it's rain shortened, there's always a little bit of an asterisk by it. It's just always been the way it is. So The good thing about this is at least Justin Haley, at least, you know, Spire Motorsports, who I'll talk about them in a second, at least this means they are not, they don't lock themselves into the playoffs or anything, because Justin Haley is not a full-time driver. So that is the one good thing. We didn't get a guy like, you know, I don't know, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but we didn't get like a 30th place driver winning this race like Matt Tifft. No offense to Matt Tifft. I have no ill feelings towards Matt Tifft, but he is not, that team is not a playoff team. If he'd won this race, he would have taken a playoff spot away from a more deserving driver. That one I would have had a big problem with. So at least with Justin Haley, he's not taking away a playoff spot from a more deserving team or driver. This race just, it was a good race, I'll talk about that, but now I have a very hollow, it just feels very hollow now. I kind of have knots in my stomach, because now it's like, I don't really feel like we had a real winner. It feels like a race without a winner, if that makes any sense. And I know that's unfair, but it's just the honest way I feel about this thing. But I'm happy for Justin Haley. Now, I don't really care at all about Spire Motorsports. That's not a competitive team, and that's not a team that wants to be competitive. Spire Motorsports, this is their first year in the Cup Series. The only reason it exists is because they bought Furniture Row Racing's charter, and they bought it because they thought they could make money off of it. They thought, hey, we'll field a backmarker team, sell some sponsorship, and we can make money because this charter especially is worth a lot of money. They have no intention on contending for wins. They're not going to take the winnings from this race and put that towards trying to develop a more competitive program. They're not going to do that. They don't care about that. That doesn't matter to them. So it's not even, I can't even feel that good about like an underdog team winning, because Spire Motorsports doesn't really count as a full-time team or as a real team. You know, they're not out there for the reasons most other teams are out there, because they're super passionate about winning races, trying to get better. Like Furniture Row Racing struggled for many years and then got better drivers, got better equipment, got a better alliance, and eventually Furniture Row Racing started winning races and championships, and that's because they were passionate about winning and they were passionate about getting better. We do not get that impression from Spire Motorsports. So them winning, it means absolutely zero. It honestly probably takes away some from this win. That's just my opinion, of course, but there you have it. I mean, I don't know, good day for a few other guys. I know a couple Hendrick cars, Johnson, Byron, top 5s, top 10s. Good for them. They got through that big wreck. Really, the finishing order was all screwed up because of the big wreck. Guys like Landon Castle get a good finish out of this. You know, Ty Dillon gets I think he gets a career best finish out of this. So there's some great storylines here and there, but I don't know. I'm kind of just filming this on the fly here. I don't have everything super thought out, but I guess let's talk about the race itself. Let's put this thing on the Groovy Gauge. Now, I'm not going to factor in the fact that there was a big long weather delay. I'm not going to factor any of that. I'm just going to talk about the racing as a whole. This is the same aero package they ran at Talladega a couple months back, and it was phenomenal. This pack racing package that we got now, the Super Speedway package, is great. It is as good as it gets, I think, with the Gen 6 car, and it produced great racing again today. Stage 1 was a little slow, but guys could still make moves. The only reason it was slow is because there was a lot of Ford teammates working together, not letting other guys get runs. That's the only thing that kind of slowed down the beginning of this race, but the rest of it, stage 2, stage 3, the little bit we saw in stage 3 at least, was great. Cars could run 2 and 3 wide, but they were still tough to handle, which is why we saw some wrecks, saw the big one obviously, but the racing was phenomenal. I think this package is perfect for Daytona and Talladega. I hope NASCAR doesn't make any major changes to it for the playoffs when we go back to Talladega. It was phenomenal, so I got to give this rating a 90% on the Groovy Gauge. I think the only thing that takes away from it is the fact that stage 1 was kind of slow to get going, and the fact that we still do get some of those weird wrecks like what happened with Keselowski and Harvick. Like, Harvick seemed to hit Keselowski square up on the bumper perfectly cleanly, and it still sent Keselowski around. Now, I don't know if that's the package's fault or if that was just circumstances, but I don't know, that's still a little wonky to me, but ultimately this race was great. That's why I think this rain delay, this rain out, this not postponement, but you know, the whole cutting it short really is a tough pill to swallow as well, because we knew that we were going to get an incredible final 30 lap run or whatever to the finish, because this race was just that good. The package was working that well, but I'll give it a 90%. Let me know what you guys think. Congrats again to Justin Haley. I know this is a very impromptu, very uncharacteristic out of the groove, but it's all I got time for. I got a lot of business to take care of, but when I'm back next week and the weeks after, I'll be able to do more traditional episodes. So I apologize for this kind of being off the cuff, kind of being rambling and everything. This is probably a longer episode than I wanted it to be, so I apologize for that, but we'll be back sooner rather than later with your normally scheduled programming. But that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, you can subscribe. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I tweet during races all the time. I've been posting stuff about my trip on Instagram, so if you want to follow that stuff, definitely check it out. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters: Michael Harrison, @YouAsTheStars, Mentally Defective, John Koblenz, Jason Arlong, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, TheRacingInsiders.com, Matthew Koulopoulos, Jeremy Conkling, Pepe Luscious. I'm forgetting people, I know I am. New guys: Emilio Garcia, Joey DiMicino, and the rest of these incredible Patreon supporters. I couldn't do this without the support I get from you guys. because of people like you on Patreon, I'm able to go to these races like I'll be at in a couple days at Slinger, see things that I've never seen before, document them for you guys on YouTube, because I will be filming that whole race, that whole video, that whole day. So I really appreciate it. Couldn't do this without the support from all of you, so thank you for supporting me and supporting the channel. Again, I'll be back very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the race today as much as you know you could see. It was fun. It's a shame it got cut short, but congrats to Justin Haley. It's a story, if nothing else. I'm not gonna say it's a good or bad story, but it's a story, and it's fun to talk about. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back at it with normal type videos pretty soon. Appreciate the support, y'all. Fun race. Fun race. Oh God, leaf. Gosh, I'm really tall. There's a freaking leaf here. Freaking tree branch. Jeez. All right, I'm out of here. It's creepy out there. There's people watching me while I film. You've never seen a guy talking to his camera before? Freaking, they're the weird ones, not me.